Again, if you have any questions, feel free to use the chat feature throughout the presentation. It's pretty long, so I might be answering most of those questions at the end, but if your question does fit in that moment, I will answer it right then and there as well. But just in respecting everyone's time, we're trying to keep in the hour that we had scheduled this for. I know a lot of you, I can see, are new coaches that I'm just now starting to work with, and a few of you are folks that have been around a while. I really appreciate everyone coming today, and welcome to the world of twin accounts. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Nikki, and I am the project manager. I'm the person that you will talk to day to day. I'm the person that emails you back from the twin accounts email. Anytime you do an online application, I'm more than likely the person that is overseeing that, as well as pretty much the entire process. Katie Christensen, who is the credit building manager, she more is here to oversee contracts and onboarding new sites in the LISC family and dealing with any sort of MOUs and big pieces like that. But if you have day-to-day questions, I'm definitely that point person. Today we'll talk a little bit about the best practice update, just for everyone who's been attending our webinars. Normally we would do a brief best practice update and then move into the actual training orientation. We've kind of combined everything this time because I've been working really hard to create this entire PowerPoint as a best practice update for both old and new coaches. I have over 10 years of experience doing case management, so I really understand and respect the work that you do with your clients every day, and I've been working really hard with our staff to make sure that the resources we're providing to you are the right ones and that you feel as supported as you can be as case managers, because like I said, I respect it. It's a very tough job. You're in the trenches every day. We'll talk about credit building as an asset and our philosophy behind that here at JP, the credit building and impacts that we see through the Credit Building Nation program. We'll go over product eligibility and the overview of that. We'll talk about in-depth product implementation and like step-by-step how that works for you and your clients. We'll talk about other helpful practices for success as well as next steps for new coaches. Existing coaches, if at any time you need to step out or you feel like the information is redundant for you, feel free. I will say most of it has been revised pretty heavily up until the end when we talk about next steps for new coaches, getting into the training center and such as that. So again, the best practice update is going to be this entire presentation, and I really hope to learn a lot more from you about whether or not this presentation is helpful in getting you up to speed to get started and continue working on your twin accounts. I definitely want to know from you what more you need as far as resources and support from us, because again, you are your expert as far as dealing with your clients, so it's really helpful for us to learn from all of you. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Justine Peterson, our mission is to connect low and moderate income families with institutional resources to build financial assets and create enduring change. The three biggest pieces of our work are credit building and financial education, in addition to the Credit Building Nation program, which does lending in 20 states with over 70 agencies and for over 100 coaches. We also do credit building one-on-one here with our clients. I do credit building with our clients in addition to working on programming and other project management. We also do homeownership preparation and retention. We are a HUD certified housing counseling agency, which is something we're very proud of, and credit building is a big part of that, getting clients up to the home ownership preparation stage. And of course, our biggest piece, which most people across the country know us for, is our micro lending and training. And that's what allows us to do these credit building loans in over 20 states. The first thing that we really need to do when we're talking about credit building is to first ground the conversation in financial capability. This diagram was developed by Prosperity Now, and it utilizes their definition of financial capability, which is the capacity based on knowledge and skills and access to resources resources to achieve financial capability. And that's where we really come in. You as a coach are providing that knowledge and that background information for your clients and helping them build skills. And then Justine Peterson is here to provide access to the resources that you need. That's where the Twin account comes in. It's an incredible resource for credit building. So what is credit building exactly? It is a niche piece of the financial capability, overall financial capability strategy, and is the act of making on-time monthly payments on a financial product, such as an installment loan or a credit card, and it's reported to at least one credit bureau. It's really about getting that good stuff going, getting those active trade lines on someone's credit report, and getting that on-time payment history going. It's creating opportunities for them, again, in accessing products like the Twin accounts or a secured credit card or some product that they might not have had access to before. And it's really about changing behaviors and focusing on changing behaviors and showing on-time payment history over the course of the life of the loan. Our passion is really about combining financial products and financial counseling to build better credit for individuals. Again, we do that right here in our office. All of our counselors see clients individually, no matter in many different capacities, in addition to our programming capabilities. And again, the financial products play a major role in the opportunities we're able to provide for clients, and this is a real passion of ours. The credit building loans really developed out of our normal micro lending that we do. What we were seeing is across the country, people were very interested in the micro lending, or the credit building work that we were doing. Again, it's a very niche sort of market. It's not something that everyone is focused on, but it is a very important aspect of financial capability. And what we were seeing is that people were super passionate across the country, like yourselves, about building assets for their clients, but they didn't have access to those resources because you guys are very small agencies for the most part, and you're not a bank. It's very difficult to access something like this. And a lot of banks aren't willing to offer these products because they aren't really big money makers. Full disclosure, we lose money on every single one of these loans that we make, but as a nonprofit, that's fine. But a bank would not be willing to take that risk. And they wouldn't be willing to enter into such a huge lending portfolio that doesn't make any money for them. And that's where we come in, because as a nonprofit, it is our job to provide those resources, and we can find funding and opportunities within our community and across the nation to make these opportunities available to you. And I think a good example of that is the LISC network. It's such a wide and encompassing network, and they have made these credit building loans available to so many different coaches across the country. I think I sent this email today out to 95 of you. So that gives you a good perspective on how many people are using these loans across the country. And the LISC network is just part of our Credit Building Nation network. We actually are using this product or other products very similar to this with other agencies. So overall, we have over 100 coaches, around 70 agencies in 20 states now using these. And keep in mind, I am the point person for all of those people. So we really do like to celebrate our success here. I am a master's level social worker, so I got into this business to see my clients succeed. And I now get to see your clients succeed through you, which is the best part of my job. We keep really great data on these loans, and we haven't updated anything yet for 2019, but certainly we'll have new data for you coming at the end of this year. Currently, we definitely have more than 48 partners managing well over 386 accounts at this point. We've done over 400 loans this year alone. 98% of our account holders are still making on-time payments. We're running at a delinquency rate of less than 5%. 89% of our clients that are applying are approved for secured credit cards. We see real significant gains for these credit building loans for clients under 520 or who have a credit invisible file or a thin file. We see the biggest gains for them. We see smaller gains for individuals that have scores over 520, but they still have a big effect on someone's credit. And they also factor in the savings component, and for your clients, that match component too, and as well as the educational component of making those on-time payments every single month for 12 months in a row. So the product is really threefold as far as benefiting your client. It can help build their credit, it can help create better habits for your clients, and it can also create a savings component for them. And we're really proud of those. And some clients may use them for 2 of the 3 aspects, and maybe some clients may use it for all of them. It's really about you evaluating your client and the best fit for them. Twin account outcomes, again, we have 3 times higher credit score gains than non-borrowers. Our clients are also 3 times as likely to keep a score that they've earned over that 12 months. And we have higher employment rates between the 6 and 12 month marks for our clients, which is a really great statistic to see. This is an updated success story that came from one of our list partners, actually. Obviously, the name has changed. This one was really exciting for me to see. The client came in with a credit score of 631. She had a history of collections. She only had 1 active line, and she was not utilizing it, so it really wasn't helping her. And that was a revolving line, and she had no installment line. She applied for this product. She made 12 on-time payments, earned her full match. At the end of the program, she had a credit score of 737, which, as most of you know, is a prime lending credit score. So if this client wanted to go get a mortgage or a car loan or any other banking product, she would definitely be qualified. She had no collections. She had learned to utilize her revolving account so that she was utilizing it under that 30% utilization ratio and really getting the best credit for that. And she had on-time payment history on her installment line with us for 12 solid months. So at the end of this, she was given her security deposit back, as well as her $300 match fund to continue her credit building. I think, and I was really excited to update this story because we did have an older story, and when this one came through my email a couple of weeks ago, I just could not resist utilizing her story. So in determining eligibility for your products, it really is important for me to emphasize, you know your clients, and you are the point person for your clients. You are the loan officer on this product. We are more the administrator. It is our job to process things and make sure everything is running smoothly, but you are the person that knows your client the best, and you are the person most qualified to determine eligibility. The first criteria is, obviously, you have to meet with your clients for a minimum of 1 visit to provide credit counseling to them. Your account holder must be over 18 years of age. We definitely encourage young borrowers. 18 is a great time to start. We definitely work with students at colleges, at local universities, and things like that, and they're ideal candidates for the product as long as they're 18. They must demonstrate an ability to afford the payment monthly. That would mean when I look at their budget, I want to see that they have at least $30 in income, extra income every month to make that payment. They cannot have any foreclosures or late payments on their credit report for the last 90 days. And we would ideally like to see that this has potential to improve their credit. Yes, you will be, in addition to, I can send this PowerPoint out, and we'll also be posting it to the Credit Building Nation website, where we keep all of our resources for the coaches. So yes. So in assessing client readiness, I've kind of put together a helpful hint as far as what your job is as the financial coach and the loan officer, and what our staff's responsibility is. As the loan officer, as the financial coach, you're really responsible for assessing your client's eligibility and providing all the education and information they need over the life of their loan. It is really your responsibility to empower your client to utilize this resource in the best way that they can, and to fully understand it. And I think that's a really important point. We would never want a client to sign anything that they don't fully understand. And I do occasionally hear from clients that have signed and are having these payments taken out and don't understand the whole process. And we will explain that to them, obviously, but ideally they would get that information from you. Over the life of the loan, you really are the client liaison. If they need to call in and make a payment, sometimes they will call with specific questions, but you know your client a lot better than we do. Them calling us is kind of them calling a faceless name on the internet almost in St. Louis, a place that many of them don't even know where it is. So yes, as a liaison, it is important for you to keep in touch with your clients about the product over the life of the loan. Ideally, when you're submitting applications, your approval rating on our end should be 100%. My job really should be to just double check the application to make sure that everything is there, everything looks good. We don't want to see a lot of denials for this product because we want you as coaches to be empowered to know exactly what client would be qualified. The criteria is not a whole lot to meet as far as the list standards. So we really do expect that the clients are meeting those before you're submitting their application. On my end, as the loan administrator, I am responsible for determining final eligibility. I process all of the documentation and create the loan in our loan management system. I manage all payments and delinquencies, and I serve as your liaison. I consider myself the liaison for all of you as case managers. I consider myself your resource more so than I consider myself your coaches or your clients' resource. I love your clients. I definitely want to help them succeed. But again, in most cases, you are the better liaison because you have a better understanding of their longer financial history. A lot of times you guys might have done a full psychosocial evaluation of them and might have a little better understanding of how they're working in their day-to-day lives than I would, which is why it is much better that you are the liaison. Again, as a case manager myself, I am ready and willing to support you as case managers and provide any resources necessary to make you successful and then in turn make your clients successful. So again, in assessing client readiness, you're really looking at these top 4 things. You're creating a realistic budget. It is really important that the budget be realistic and that client does have the money to pay that payment every month. We would never want a client to enter into a situation where they really aren't ready or they really don't have that money in their budget, but they are just kind of excited about the potential. Thoroughly reviewing the credit report is very, very, very important. There's so much on a credit report, and there's so much that a client needs to understand before they really enter into any product. We really want them to have a full knowledge of not only what their credit report looks like, but what action that they can take to improve their credit. And we want them to feel empowered to improve their credit themselves. And I think that's something that I tell every single credit building client that I see here. If nothing else, I want you to leave my office and know that you don't have to pay somebody for this service. You don't have to pay somebody to help you with a dispute. You don't have to pay somebody to do any of these things, to look at your credit. We will help you do that for free, and we will empower you to be your own expert for free. And we wouldn't want somebody to be taking advantage of you and charging you for a service that, quite frankly, you can do yourself. And I think that's a really important lesson for our clients because so often the message to them is, this is too complicated, it's too much for you, you need to pay someone to do this. And they feel really kind of trapped into doing that. We see a lot of credit repair companies take advantage of our clients here in St. Louis, and it's a shame. Establishing goals. I mean, this is a really important aspect of your assessing your client readiness. What is your client's goal? Is their goal to get into a house within a year? Is it within a 6-month radius? Is it just to generally build their credit? Is it just to become educated? What is their goal, and how does this product or any other product fit into that goal? And last but certainly not least, definitely consider your client's buy-in. And again, you know your clients better than I do. Consider whether your clients are ready for this. Some clients just aren't, and that's okay. They can reapply at any time, but we want them to be excited about this product. We want them to utilize this resource, and really build their credit with it. When clients are not ready, we don't see good on-time payment history. We see a lot of delinquencies, a lot of back and forth. And for them, for us, for you, it just is a lot easier for them to be ready to go before making that application. Knowing your credit report, these are the three main pieces that we always look for on credit reports first. How many active lines of credit does your client have? First and foremost, what is the good stuff on your client's report that has potential to elevate their score? Of those, how many are revolving in installments? And what is the payment pattern on those active lines? Are the payments delinquent? If so, that's having a huge effect on your client's credit. And until they bring those payments current, they're going to be hit every single month by late payments. The biggest piece of the credit puzzle is just making on-time payments on your active line. So that's incredibly important for them to understand what's open, what's active, how much their monthly payment, minimum payment is, and what they need to do if they're not current to get current. How much do they have in collections and charge-off debts? How old are these debts? Are these things that may fall off their credit report fairly soon? Is it something that they don't necessarily need to focus on now? When will it hit the statute of limitations? Are your creditors likely to sue? All of those things are very important to analyze when you're looking at a client's credit report. And of course, any foreclosures, public records, things along those lines, always super important to have your clients understand what's reporting on their credit. So let's talk about who an ideal credit building loan candidate is, somebody who's ideal for this product. Somebody who's credit invisible, who has no credit score, maybe has one open line or one collection, but doesn't have a score yet because they haven't been registered. They are the perfect candidates for this product. We see the biggest gains for individuals who come in with no installment line or no active lines altogether. They make 12 on-time payments, and their score can go from credit invisible to 650 within that year. Very common for us to see. Clients that have very thin files, just have one or a couple of credit lines again, a couple of collections perhaps, but not enough good stuff to really get their score going. This is a really good product for them. Clients that don't have any active lines, that are just working on paying collection debt, this is an excellent product for them. It's accessible to them, it's low risk, it's a low cost product. Again, it has the factors of teaching them on-time payment habits. It's a savings component, and for your clients, they get a match. So for them, for clients that have collection debt only, it is a win-win, because at the end, they can use that $300 to pay towards this collection debt, and they've created an installment line with 12 months of on-time payment history. Clients that have been denied products or services in the past, we see this every day. Clients that have applied for a credit card because they know that they need an active line to make their credit go up, but they're denied, and they're denied again, and they're denied again, and no one will give them a product. We will give them access to a product. If they meet the very few criteria we have set out, we will absolutely give them access to this product so that they can prove to a credit bureau that they can make on-time payments and they have access. Clients that are recently discharged from bankruptcy, this is an excellent product for them because they don't have those active lines or those collections reporting on their debt. They're kind of starting with a clean slate, and they might not be eligible to apply for other products. This is a product that we would be more than happy to make accessible to them regardless of their bankruptcy history. Obviously, we would want that discharged before we had them apply, but once they're discharged, we are happy to offer the product to them. Again, clients that have no active installment lines of credit, very important. We see clients that have maybe a credit card that they use sporadically. The example that I gave earlier is a good example of that. She wasn't utilizing that line. She didn't have an installment line, and once she was able to establish this installment line, her credit score shot right up. Who is not a good fit for this product? Clients who already have 3 or more active lines of credit, in addition to a variety of credit lines, more than likely would not benefit from this product. they might not see, more than likely they would not see a credit score gain. And none of our data that we are collecting shows real gains for clients that have over 3 active lines. Clients who are not ready, clients that are not paying on time currently, if they don't have income, if they have a lot of bad debt and they're considering filing for bankruptcy, they're not ready at this time, and that's okay. We always say, you know, when we say no to somebody, it's really a soft no. We will always tell you to come back, you know, in a couple of days or a couple of months, and we'll consider your application then. Clients that don't have any buy-in, again, if your client is not bought into the product, they are not going to be successful with it. If they are kind of humdrum about it, they will not be successful. If they don't understand the loan process and the importance of making on-time payments, they will not be successful. If they're uninterested in the product, again, they won't be successful. And there may be some counseling that needs to be done on your end before they get to that point. But again, like that is the best thing for the client, and it is the most difficult part of a case management job to get your client where you know that they need to be. But I have all the confidence in the world that you guys are skilled in that work. This is the credit building loan process. These are all the steps that you have to take to submit the loan. This is something that has been requested more than once from the coaches, is that this presentation focused a lot more on the actual process of the loans and less on the credit building as an asset. So I'm going to dig really deep into the application, making payments, delinquencies, closing things out, all of those things in the next 2 slides. So hopefully you leave with the full knowledge of how to apply to closing out an account once you've made 12 on-time payment history or 12 on-time payments. So step 1 is obviously submitting an application for your client. And we are now using an online application. As some of you who have been in the game for a little while are used to submitting paper applications, but we're really excited about our new online application. It's been going really well. We've processed over 100 applications online, and so far it seems like all the coaches are up to date and ready to use it. The most important thing to remember is that your client has to take the onus to create this login and start the application. Coaches cannot create an application for a client. We really created the process so that the client takes the initiative first, and that is a very important psychosocial step for a client. So a client goes to our online application, they create a login, and they can begin the application. We have set it up so they only have to enter in very little information for us to be able to assign it to you as the coach once I've reviewed it. So really, if a client gives us their name, their full name, and your full name, we will be able to make that, to assign it to you. They will also need to initial all the agreements that they've read about the product and they understand it. All of those things that you used to initial on an actual piece of paper are now all online for your client to do. So again, once the client just does those agreements, puts their name in and your name in, it's enough information that we will be able to get it to your dashboard, and then you can make any edits that need to be made, as well as uploading documents that are required. Once we've reviewed it, we will mark it approved or declined, you know, sort of a final answer by JP. Again, it's very rarely that I decline a client's application. We should not see a lot of applications being declined because essentially, as the loan officer, you should be submitting applications that you are certain will be approved. And again, knowing those few criteria that we ask you to meet. So here's some tips on the online application. Both you and your client can access this at this website. Again, log on, create a password, and create your own username and all of that. Coaches are actually already entered into the system as administrators, so you don't have to worry about signing up, but your clients will create their own login. Your clients press sign up now to create an account. They input their email, personal information, and their password. Next, they verify the account once they get a verification email, and they press activate your account. Again, coaches will be invited to join the portal upon completing the JP Training Center. So once you complete modules 1 and 2, and you're in touch with me, I will automatically put you into the system as an administrator for applications. And once our office has entered you into the system, you receive an email to confirm that your account is active, and you can set up your own password. Here's some key tips about using the online application, and I can't emphasize these enough. Your login is very different than your client. You've been given administrative rights so that you can edit client applications. So any one of your clients that is assigned to you will appear on a dashboard for you, and you will have access to multiple applications, whereas your client will only have access to see their own. They will only have access to apply themselves. You cannot apply on behalf of your client using your own login. 100% of the time, if you attempt to do an application, you will get an error message, because as a coach, you cannot create an application. You can only go in and edit an already existing application or upload documents to an already existing application. Coaches are assigned the applications manually by our staff, and by our staff, I mean me. This could take a few hours, but as most of you know, like, I'm pretty on top of the twin account stuff throughout the day. But generally, I say just to give it a few hours once everything's been submitted before you hear back from me about whether or not it is approved or declined. Just keep in mind, again, that there's over 100 of you guys. There's one of me, and this is not the only program that I manage. I manage several other programs. If you're using the same computer and assisting your client to complete an application, that's going to happen a lot if your client's like in the office with you. Not a problem. You just have to remember to fully log out of each account when you're switching back and forth between the client account and your account. Because again, if you're trying to do an application and it's in your account and you haven't logged out, you're not going to be able to have the same functions as your client. Again, you'll have access to edit your client's application once it's assigned to you on your dashboard, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. There are 3 statuses that applications will have in the online application portal. Accepted means your application's been approved, and at any time you can set the closing date with me. We do expect that you give us 48 hours in advance. We are working on the automated emails from the online application, as well as creating a link so that you can easily schedule those closings. Obviously, technology can take some time to develop, so that may take some time, but we are working on streamlining that process. In the meantime, once you're approved, I will email you personally and let you know that you are set. You can set your closing anytime. Clients that are in submitted mode, the application is just pending. You just need to check it to ensure that all the required information and documents are uploaded. I do send out an email once a week reminding coaches that have pending applications that they are still pending, and requesting whether or not they need assistance with that application, or what they need to do in order to get it to this accepted status. So be on the lookout for those emails if you have pending applications. Clients that are marked denied have not met the application criteria, and they have been denied the product. In these cases, I'll reach out to you individually to get more information to see if possibly there's something that we're missing, more information that we don't understand. But for the most part, it will be a denial if we can't get them up to those criteria. And again, anytime a client is denied for the product does not mean they can't reapply. We are happy to take a reapplication at any time. So this is actually a screenshot from the online application. Again, this is a good tip. Please ensure that you're logged out completely before you have a client use your computer to start an application. or vice versa. If you're looking to edit a client's application, you will have to make sure you're logged out of their account before and logged into your own before it will work. These links that are available on the Credit Building Nation website, they actually link directly to the applications. And I've had a lot of coaches ask me about them, and I possibly will remove them because it has been very confusing to you. But these are for clients only. If you're using this application link, it will not work for you because, again, it goes directly to an application, and coaches cannot create applications themselves. If you do get this message, that means that as a coach, you're essentially trying to do something that you don't have permission to do. More than likely, that is creating an application. But this is the most common error message that you might receive. This is what your dashboard will look like once you have clients that have applied. You can see this is a photo of my dashboard that I've created some mock accounts, and you'll see all of my applications that are submitted or part of this dashboard. I have 2 applications that have been reviewed and accepted. So if I was working with those clients, I'd be setting a closing date for them right now. I have 1 client that's still in submitted mode, so I would need to make edits to that application before it would be reviewed and approved. And again, you will have this view of only clients that you have that have applied and have identified you as their coach. And once your client has applied and you have been assigned the client, they will all appear in your dashboard. This is a view of also what you'll see. This is like what an actual client application will look like when you're in it. You can export the application to a PDF if you want to save a copy of it for yourself. That can be really, really helpful, and you can find the export button right at the top, and you can export it to a file that you can print, save into a client folder. However you like to keep documentation. These are very easily accessible. This is the view that you would see for your client under completed application. If you go to completed application on the left, you'll see the application elements 1 through 5. There's a exclamation point in yellow on 2 of those. That means that not all the information is in yet, and you do need to provide more information to make that section complete. I will tell you, under required documents, anytime you see a yellow exclamation point, you are missing something. Under application details, if you see a yellow exclamation point, sometimes, honestly, you're not missing anything. It's just as a matter of the system not fully updating. So if you are looking at an application, you see this yellow exclamation point in front of application details, but you can't for the life of you figure out what is missing, there probably isn't anything missing. More than likely, it's just that it's an error in the system, which again, we're working on bugs and things like that. In order to make edits to the application, it's very important you do have to enter into edit mode to make those edits. And that is very important. I have clients or coaches very often say, oh, I'm not able to make edits to the application. It doesn't give me permission to do so. It's because you're not in edit mode. This is where you go to upload your client documents that are necessary as supplemental documents for their application. This is where you'll upload their credit authorization. I do get some questions about what the credit authorization is. That's just the general form that your clients sign when you're getting permission to pull their credit. We do need that. The copy of their updated credit report, it should be no more than 60 days old. As well as a copy of their budget that you worked out with them. And you can upload these files just as you would upload files to any website, any email. You choose it from your list of files on your desktop, and it uploads right away. It's a very quick process. Once this application is submitted, ideally your client would be approved, and the next step would be setting that closing date and signing loan documents. So in talking about the closing process, it is really important, one, that when you're setting the closing, we do get 48 hours in advance. I understand sometimes you need them a little quicker, and I'm always willing to work with you. But again, keep in mind that there are 100 of you. I have 100 other things going on here. So there are some days where that might not be possible, that I get it out in less than 48 hours, but we always get them out within 48 hours. Again, the closing documents arrive via DocuSign. Nothing is printed, nothing is signed in person, everything is done online. It's a very streamlined process, and for the most part, it's actually quite simple to go through the DocuSign process. The most important thing to know about DocuSign and to keep in mind about it is that there is an order to things. So it is important that you as the coach sign and complete your portion once you receive those documents, because until you sign and complete your portion, the application or the documents won't even be available to your client to sign. You need to finish your part, and then the next person needs to finish their part, and then so on and so on. Everyone has to do it in those steps, and that is very important to remember. So again, if your client has not received a link, the first thing you should do is to make sure that you've properly signed the documents. The second thing you should probably do, if they haven't received a link, is make sure that I have the correct email address. DocuSign is actually very sensitive. It tracks everything. I can see when you view the documents. I can see when you sign them. I can see when you just open them and don't do anything with them. If your email is incorrect, it'll shoot back really quickly. So if I have an incorrect address or anything, more than likely I will have notified you first. Sometimes clients just are missing the link in their inbox, and they're like, I can't find it, I can't find it. No problem, just call or write me, and I'll resend it so it's fresh in their email when they're sitting with you, because that might be helpful. Sometimes they get it and then like they think it's spam and they throw it away. That happens all the time, and that's not a problem. Just let me know. We can resend the link very, very quickly. All parties, the best thing about DocuSign is that everybody that's part of the process receives copies via DocuSign in their email inbox, including me, our accounting department, you, and your client. So they do get all of those pieces in their email. The most important thing, I can't express this enough to coaches, please know your closing documents when you sign them, and review them when you're signing them. Keep in mind, again, I'm human. Sometimes I make mistakes. I sometimes will spell your client's name wrong or put the wrong address in, or something might be amiss. Review them, because I am relying on you as that liaison to let me know if anything's wrong. Again, I also encourage you to know the closing documents, because you're educating your clients about this. You're filling up their toolbox, and you're telling them exactly how this process is going to go, and they're looking at you to be the expert. So knowing the closing documents is really, really important. This is a list of all the documents that are part of the closing process. It's usually about 17 to 19 pages, depending on what state you're in. They are pretty dense. So I'm going to go over each one individually so you're familiar with them, and kind of emphasize some important ones that your clients might use as takeaways. So the very first document in all closing packets is your loan summary. It essentially gives all of the loan account details, including how much the loan is for, if there's any fees or interest charged, what the interest rate is, when their payments begin, when their payments end, what their monthly charges are. All of the loan pieces are right here in front of you, and they're super, super important. Our amortization schedule, I cannot express this enough. If your client takes away no other pieces from your closing, please make sure that they have their amortization schedule. This is their payment schedule. I get questions all the time. When is my payment starting? When is my payment starting? It's outlined right here. It tells you not only when your payments will be posted, are pulled as for ACH. It'll tell you exactly how much the amount is. It'll tell you how much you're paying in principal and how much you're paying in interest, and what your balance is after you've made that payment. If a client is following the schedule, they will be on time, they will make all 12 payments on time, and they will finish out the program successfully. This is incredibly important. And again, explaining it, amortization is just a really big word for payment schedule. The disclosure statement, also important because it discloses all of the fees and interest rates that are being charged on the loan. Very often I hear from clients, oh, I didn't know I'd be charged the fee for that. I didn't know that I would be paying interest on that. Why is my payment this much, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Very important to note what those charges are, what those fees are, what they look like, and it's all outlined here. Another question that I get quite often is the document prep fee, which in some states you are charged $12 for a document prep fee. Clients never have to pay that in advance. They never have to pay anything up front for the loan. They pay all of the fees, all of the interest, as well as the security deposit over their 12 payments. So any fees, including that document prep fee, will be rolled into the whole loan, and they'll pay it off over the course of those 12 months. So client wouldn't be paying $12 up front, they would just be paying $1 a month over 12 months to cover that cost. The promissory note, this is going to look different from state to state because obviously each state has very specific criteria for a promissory note. But the most important thing to note is that both you and the client will sign this, and you will sign this as the Great Rivers Community Capital representative, because again, you are a partner of Great Rivers Community Capital / Justine Peterson, and you are signing the promissory note with your client as the loan officer. The next page is what we refer to as the GRCC loan closing sheet. This is really important for us. This is where we gather a lot of that data that I have spoken about and how we gather all the information to learn about the success of our loans, how they're successful across states, how they're successful across different income levels, among different ethnicities. It's very important that we gather this information. So this is basic demographic information about your clients. Some of it you fill out, some of it your clients fill out, but these are all important things that we track over the course of their loan so that we can keep really good data on our whole portfolio. The next page is the ACH authorization. Again, this is an incredibly important page, not necessarily as a takeaway for the client, but this is one that you will want to double and triple check that you are putting accurate information in. We will take the information directly from this and set up their automatic payments each month. So whatever information is entered in here is automatically what becomes their ACH information for automatic payments every month. If there's a mistake with the routing number, we won't have the correct information. If there's a mistake with the account number, their payment will not run. So it is really important that we have correct information. In addition to the routing and the account number, it is important for us to know whether it is a checking or savings account. We do have to specify that when we're running the ACH. Our coaches and clients both ask a lot if they can set up a credit card or a prepaid credit card for automatic payment. Absolutely. If you are planning to do that, just let me know in advance. I'll give you special instructions. And the reason I would do that is because every credit card runs a little differently, and we might collect a little extra information just so we're not reaching out to you on the payment date and gathering more information from you. We'll gather even more information on a credit card because we might have to run it several different ways to get it to take. Amex runs completely differently than a Discover card, and Visa runs differently than MasterCard. So it is important that we have different information for each one. Again, just let me know. I'll be happy to provide you with a list of what you need to provide me and how you can enter it into the ACH form so it makes sense to us when we receive it. This is the Disbursement Request and Authorization. This is a pretty standard loan document filled with a lot of legalese. this really just outlines where the funds will go. So essentially, you'll see on here, it says $300 to U.S. Bank reserve account. U.S. Bank is where we hold your client's reserve accounts. So all of the money that they are putting for security deposits goes into an account at U.S. Bank, and that discloses all the information. Privacy policy, this is important. We want to be transparent with our clients about what information we're gathering, what we're using that for, and different aspects of how we're managing their data. And this is also very important. We definitely want to be as transparent with our clients as possible. Each client does have to complete a W-9 form. All they need to do is sign and date it. We will pre-populate it with all of their personal information. This is just a tax form. They won't have to pay taxes on this account, but we will have to report it. The very last page of the whole loan document closing packet is the loan management portal agreement. Every client and coach signs this, and this is another takeaway that is really important for a client. This gives them step-by-step directions to log into our loan management portal and view and manage their account over the life of the loan. So this is where they would go to make sure that their payment is posted. This is where they would go if they need to print a statement for their own records. They would go here to determine, oh, when is my maturity date? I don't have my payment schedule anymore. I've lost it. When does my loan end? I don't remember. They can find that information here. It's very much like a banking, set up like a banking account portal. So it provides a lot of that information. I'll go into that in a little bit more in detail as to what you see as a coach. But again, you have access to your client's account automatically as well. Once this account is created, both you and the client are automatically attached to it. And if for any reason you don't have access to that client account, we will make sure that you get it, and you can just let us know any troubleshooting that has to happen. These are a few helpful tips on the closing process, as I just would like to review them. Again, know what you're signing. I think that is the most important thing for me to emphasize. Familiarize yourself with the documents so your client can be familiar with them as well. We want them to feel empowered and not intimidated by this process. And again, it can be a little bit clunky. I mean, it's a lot of documents, and there's a lot of verbiage and legalese that your client may not understand. I'll be honest, I read them the first time, and I had to read them many times to fully understand everything that was happening in them. Again, everything is completed online. You don't need to print or scan anything unless you want copies of it for yourself, for your client. And again, everything goes automatically to everyone's email. Documents can be signed remotely on any internet-enabled device, so clients can sign them on their phone, their tablet, their computer at home. Ideally, they would be with you so that they're getting that counseling aspect of it too. But some of you are in remote locations, and we fully understand that your clients might not be able to get to you, or you might be doing phone counseling. And if that's the case, not a problem. They can do this from any phone, any tablet, any computer. Be prepared to answer your client questions. Huge emphasis on this. Again, you are the loan officer, and you are really there to educate your clients on the process and be their point person and be there to hold their hand through that process. The amortization schedule, page 2 of the document packet, definitely retain a copy of that for you and your client. The last page of the closing documents to learn how to auto-enroll in the online management portal is very important. And double, triple, quadruple check the ACH information so that we're getting the right information and we're able to keep the client's loan flowing and that there's no stoppage for payment. Here's some information on your client's role versus your role in terms of managing the loan over the 12 months. We do want the clients to log into the loan management portal to access the account information right away after closing so that they can see how that works. We want them to be prepared to make their payments based on what they've chosen, whether that be the 1st or the 15th of the month. Note that on-time payments must be received by the 15th of the month in order to be counted towards match. But it is important to note that if the 15th falls on a Sunday or a holiday, Obviously, we would count any payments posted the next business day as on time for their match. If a client does need to stop an ACH payment, we're more than willing to do that. Just give us enough time. We cannot stop an ACH payment on the 1st. We cannot stop it on the 15th. It's already been in motion at that point for over 48 hours. Give us 2 or 3 days in advance, and we're happy to stop it for the client and schedule it for another day. We understand that things pop up, but what we want is for the clients to plan ahead and know that those things will pop up. Trust me, I get tons of requests to delay ACH in the month of December. Christmas comes, expenses happen, people fall behind. We understand and we want to support you, but we just need enough time to make that happen. Monitor your account monthly. It's really important that clients are ongoing monitoring their account. I can't tell you how many conversations I have with clients that absolutely have no idea what's going on with their account, over 11 or 12 months. They really are just hands off with it, but we want them to go in and see when their payments are posted, look at their statements, and know that everything's running smoothly. Clients are also expected to contact their coach or our office if they have any issues or questions. Again, ideally, they would contact you, but if they do need to make a payment or arrange something like that, they can contact us directly. We have a full payment support department ready to help them at any time if they need to call a payment in. As a coach, your role is to really ensure you have access to the client's loan in the management portal. If for some reason you open your loan management portal, you don't see that client file, let me know and I will troubleshoot on the back end to make sure you do have access. You are there to monitor your client's transactions and provide any follow-ups or reminders that they might need. I personally will be sending you reports and information several times a month about your client's progress, individual progress. I send delinquency reports. I send any reports if payments are reversed. And I also send reports when accounts are paid in full and ready to close out. So definitely be on the lookout for those and, use that information wisely to work with your clients and get them up to speed. Again, I'm not sending that information directly to the clients. There's over 500 of them, so it is much, much easier for me to notify them through you. And yes, again, notifying clients of any issues and answering any questions and providing insight about their loan over the course of the loan. So we'll talk next about continue managing your loan, some other helpful hints. These are actually really helpful hints. This is like kind of nuanced information sometimes the clients do need. Clients will see money come out of their bank statements from Great Rivers Community Capital, or GRCC. That is our for-profit arm for Justine Peterson. That is how we have to run the payments for these loans, through our for-profit arm, Great Rivers Community Capital. However, we report to the credit bureaus through Credit Builders Alliance as Justine Peterson, the nonprofit. So your client will see our name, Justine Peterson, on their credit report, but on their bank statements, they will see GRCC. So that can sometimes be confusing for clients, and it is something that we often have to explain to them. We do report monthly to all 3 credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, but generally we're about a month behind in reporting. So make your clients aware of that. They're not going to see a gain on their credit report immediately. That's also something important to let their clients know. Managing expectations about when they're going to see a gain is incredibly important, especially in a world where clients have credit karma and they can check on that 3, 4, 5 times a day and really like ruminate on it. We want them to have reasonable expectations, that they're not expecting their, score to go up overnight because they've made one on-time payment. Really giving it anywhere from 3 to 6 months to see that growth is very important. Again, if a client can't make their monthly payment, call us. We will work with you, but we need the time to make that happen. We can't just do it overnight. It has to be at least 72 hours in advance. We want to work with your clients. This is a product that we want to be low risk, and we want to offer as many chances for your client to succeed as possible. So I'm going to go a little bit into the online management portal, and we are getting close to the end. So thank you everybody for staying patient. This is what the online management portal looks like when you sign in. This is different than the online application. Again, something very important to express. These are two different websites. In an ideal world, they would be combined. Unfortunately, I'm a social worker, I'm not a web developer, so I have to go with what our web developers have given us. This is labeled as our online management portal, and you'll see it says, please log in using your existing account. We will, every time we create a loan, we automatically create a login for you and your client on the online management portal. And it is always, your username is always the email address that you have submitted your application under. So you as a coach, it will be whatever email address you use for work. Your client will be whatever email address they have submitted to us. That will be your username. You are responsible for going in and creating your own password. And again, those steps are outlined in that last page of the loan closing docs. This is what your online dashboard will look like as a coach. Again, you'll have a lot of different loans in your portal based on what loans are open. You can actually have access to not only the loans that you're working on individually with your clients, but if you need to have access to other loans within your agency's portfolio, we can also do that. Just let us know. We just need a list from you. We can give you access to the loans that you need to gather information on. You'll see their loan number as well as the client's account name, contact information. The partner is you. That will be your site name. The loan amount is always $300. The total outstanding is how much the client still owes. You can see their application date. You'll see a lot of different details within this individual dashboard. And you can use the arrows at the top to filter them. So you can order them by loan number, you can order them by client name alphabetically, by loan amount, total outstanding. You can filter them. This is a closer look at what that loan management portal looks like. And if you click on, if you were to be doing this live and you would click on any of these loan numbers, you will go to more detailed information about your client's loan, and I'll show you that next. So we've clicked on that loan number and we have more detailed information about this client. Again, you have all the primary contact information, you have the loan officer's information, principal, interest, any fees they've been charged, their loan number, the status, this loan is active, all very important information. This is your client's transaction history. You can pull this up again in the loan management portal so you can view their transactions as they're coming through month to month. So you'll see here that the client's loan, the disbursement, started on 4/22/16. They were charged interest on 5/31, and that's because their first payment wasn't due till 6/15. So whenever you see that interest charge, sometimes that really concerns the coach. Like, why is my client being charged interest? Don't worry, this is just a breakdown of what's already part of your client's payment schedule that's already been set up. This $2.89 interest isn't coming out of the blue. It's already been factored into their loan based on the date that it started, the standards in your state, and the loan interest and all of those things. You'll see on 6/15, the client made their first payment of $26.40, and then they are charged interest each month, and interest is compounded each month. This is a loan portfolio view, so this is actually a full view of all the different loans that are a part of this portfolio, as well as the delinquency list. So you can pull up if your client is delinquent, if your client is behind in payments and owes money, and specifically how delinquent they are. So if you look, you'll see how many days delinquent they are, delinquency days. Delinquency 30 to 59 is how many days delinquent they are. 60 to 89 is how many days delinquent they are. And that's how they would be reported to the credit bureaus. Please note, clients are not reported to the credit bureaus until they're at least 31 days late. That's always important for clients to note. We do get that leeway for very good reason. We want clients to have a chance to catch up. So we will not be reporting late until clients are at least 31 days. if a client is delinquent, this is very important. Delinquencies absolutely happen. We have to be very realistic about that. Clients might fall behind, and that's okay. I mean, this is a learning experience for them, and we want to minimize the damage that they do is the most important thing. Again, the product is forced to close the account. We are forced to close the account due to non-payment to avoid bad reporting to the credit bureaus on your client's behalf. So if I'm emailing you and I'm advocating to close your client's account, I am not trying to hurt your client. In fact, what I'm trying to do is keep your client from having negative reports on their credit. We want to make sure that this is always helpful to the client, even if they aren't living up to their end of the process. We want to make sure that it does as little damage as possible. And if that's the case, we will just close it to make that, to make the damage lessen. I will send delinquency reports to you each month. I generally send them by the end of the month once all the payments from the 15th have been fully posted. You can view delinquencies on the loan management portal. They appear in red. And again, clients are not reported until they're at least 31 days late. So they do have time to catch up. Managing delinquencies is incredibly important because, and knowing how delinquencies are managed is really important. So when I'm sending you the report, your client will be categorized as either 1 to 30 days late, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, or over 90 days. You should never see a client go over 90 days delinquent. If they have, that means I've not done my job and I have not forced it closed. I will 100% of the time make sure that your client is closed by 61 days to avoid that late payment. And the only reason I would keep it open is if you as the coach or the client has advocated to me to keep it open. So really how things work is you start getting those delinquency reports from 1 to 30. You really need to reach out to your client, talk to them about how they want to catch up. Give them that time to catch up. If they get to the point where they're 31 to 60, I will reach out to you again and say, hi, Betty is 31 to 60 days late again. We're going to go ahead and close this, the next cycle of closures, unless you give me permission to keep it open, because we don't want Betty's credit to be hurt by this. Again, at 61 to 90 days, we will go ahead and close that account. We will mark it paid in full because it's a cash secured account. Obviously, your client does not go to collections or anything like that. It's literally just closed, it's marked paid in full, and your client receives a check back for whatever they've paid in minus fees and interest. Premature closure. So here's some facts about them that I think are incredibly important to emphasize to your clients. Clients are not penalized for a premature closure. Again, it's to help the client. It is not to hurt them. They can reapply at any time. They will not be held to any higher standards. They will go through the exact same application process as any other client that's applying, even though they have closed an account in the past. Not a problem. Again, courtesy to the client to avoid late reporting. They get all their money back minus their fees and interest. And in this situation, the checks are directly mailed to the client. It's also important to note this will be noted on their credit report as a zero balance paid in full loan, but they will not get credit for all 12 payments. They'll only get credit for the number of payments that they actually made. So again, it doesn't hurt the client. There's no penalty, but they don't get the full benefit of it. And very important to note for your clients, they do forfeit their match if they close out early. They do have to make all 12 payments, finish the product in order to get their match funds. If your client does need to make up a payment, there's many ways they can do that. We try to be as flexible about this as possible, and we give clients many, many options to call in, email, send a carrier pigeon, whatever works for them. We really, really want to give you every opportunity to catch up possible. Here's my contact information. They can contact me directly. Again, just be aware and make your clients aware that I do manage other things in our office. I'm in charge of all of our interns. I do a lot of other things. So if I'm not at my desk, you definitely need to leave me a message so I know you called. And there is a possibility that will take a little bit of time for me to get back to you. The better option for clients, if they just need to make a quick payment or change their ACH information, they can call our payment support department at extension 144. They can talk to anybody in our payment support department. We have at least 6 people ready to take payments at any time. They can also talk to our operator. Just dial our number and dial 0. Our operator can also take payments over the phone. They can authorize us to rerun a payment using the same ACH information we have on file. And in that case, all I need is an email or a phone call from you or your client to say, hey, can you rerun that today? We would never run a payment without client's permission. We want to make sure that the money's in the account. So very often I get emails from coaches like, hey, you know, Betty's money is in her account today. Can you rerun that payment tomorrow? No problem. I'll make that happen. Sometimes the clients call it in because they feel comfortable doing that. The best thing for you and your client is really the best thing for us. They can use a credit card to make payments. That's not a problem. They can just call in and give us that information, or you can contact us and give us that information. They can mail a check or money order. We don't recommend that only because I can't guarantee that their payment will be posted on time if it's mailed to us. And for your clients, that would affect whether or not they would qualify for match. But if that is the best way for your clients to do it, we'll absolutely accept checks or money orders via mail. And this is very, very, very exciting. And I feel like I shouldn't even say this out loud because I don't want to jinx it. But very soon our process will go even bigger, and we will be taking online payments. I can't tell you how excited I am about that. I hope that you guys are dancing a jig with me because we have been working towards this for a really long time. We're really expecting to roll that out probably early first quarter 2020. It's still in process, but it's something we're really moving towards, and we're just moving towards a lot of streamlining of everything. So we're at the end of the account. We're almost done here. The last step for clients is account transfer. That's when they've made all of their on-time payments. All 12 payments successfully have run, and they are ready to close out. So what's next? It's a pretty simple process. We do ask that you and the client either meet or fill these forms out in some way. They do need to complete a transfer form, which highlights or gives us all the details about how they want their match check to be processed, as well as a little bit of other information, just signing some authorizations for us to open up that bank account and release the funds to them. We do need an updated W-9 form for tax purposes, and we do ask for an updated credit report from your client. We want to know that the product is working, and we want to know that it is correctly reporting so that we can catch any issues. We also use that information for data analysis, obviously. You then submit that paperwork to me via email at the twinaccounts@justinepeterson.org email address. I process those transfers every single week, always on Thursdays, unless lucky me, I'm on vacation, which is rare. But I do process this once a week, so just know that it is a weekly cycle. And then the checks are sent to the coach's office for pickup via USPS certified mail as the last step. We'll go into digging a little bit deeper about match funds. Understanding match funds for your client. Match funds are earned each month. They're prorated each month, so your client earns $25 a month for each on-time payment. Again, on-time payments are considered received between the 1st and the 15th of the month, unless that 15th falls on a holiday or a weekend and payments are not being processed. And in those cases, we will count any payments on time. So if it's a month where the 15th falls on a Saturday and the 17th is a Monday, we will process it on the 17th and your client will still be considered on time. This is incredibly important because this is something that really trips clients up. We cannot accept, based on list criteria, we can't accept prepayments as counted towards match funding. So if your client is prepaying a month in advance, that will not count towards their match funding. They have to make their on-time payment in the month that it is due. And again, this is really just list building in those on-time payment habits and really drilling that into the client. It's incredibly important, and they're rewarding those on-time payment habits. Match funds are restricted funding. They are intended for continued credit building. I cannot write checks directly to clients using match funding. Their security deposit check will be written directly to them because those are the funds that they've put in, but the funds that LISC puts in, they cannot be made out to the client. The other restriction is that the client cannot use those funds towards rent, but quite frankly, they can use them towards almost anything else. Obviously, a secured credit card is the most beneficial tool for a client, but very often, and a best use of that $300 match funding, but very often clients aren't approved for a card, or they may already have a credit card. Some clients are just straight up scared of credit cards. If that's the case, move on and find another bill to pay, and we will work with you to do that. The next best use of match funds is to pay off a collection debt or charge off. If your client does have one of those on their account, take that $300, we'll write it towards their credit card company, or you know, a collection agency, or their car note, whatever it is. The last best way to use the match funds would be to pay off any other debt or anything that has potential to become delinquent. So if a client has a high utility bill, that could have potential to become delinquent. We could put $300 towards that. I have written checks for student tuition. I have written checks to high credit card balances at any number of stores that you can imagine. We can be pretty creative with that. If you have any questions about whether or not a match request fits the list criteria, don't hesitate to reach out to me. But I will tell you, honestly, as long as we're not making the check to the client and it's not for rent, and you can prove that it is a bill, it's pretty easy from there. We'll approve almost anything. Here is the account transfer process in terms of funding a secured credit card from Capital One. Keep in mind, Capital One is the only secured credit card that we can fund directly using the client's match funds. If and I do that all electronically. If you make a request for a Capital One funding, I will do that online. I don't have to mail a check or anything. But say a client goes to their small credit union in your hometown to apply for a secured credit card, I would then have to write a check to that bank to get that client's credit card funded. We would not be able to do that directly. So the funding to Capital One secured credit card is a pretty simple process. The coach and the client together apply for the secured card. Again, the client can do that on their own if you feel that they are comfortable doing that. Once approved, the client will get a confirmation page that pops up on their screen. It will include a customer number. It's about 15 digits long. I need that number to fund their card. So whether you print that page and send it to me, or you just send me that number, either way, I just need that information. You then provide that customer number or that confirmation page with that number on it to me. I then, when I'm processing those closeouts once a week, instead of writing a check directly to the client for the match funds to something, I go online, I take $300 out of our checking account for Justine Peterson, and I put it towards your client's customer number. In those cases, your client will then be assigned a confirmation number, and then I email that confirmation back to you, and your client usually receives their card in the mail in about 3 weeks. It's usually pretty quick from there. You can apply for a Capital One secured card at this address. It's pretty simple, and I'll show you some of the Capital One criteria and pieces that are really important. It's a really easy process, so like I said, to get started. You submit an application, and it's a standard credit card application. It will ask for all of those big pieces from the client: Social Security number, birth date, address. It will ask for income information as well as some expenses that they're paying monthly. You get approved and you get your confirmation page, and then you make your security deposit. Pretty fast. These are the product details for the Capital One. It does have a slightly higher APR than a normal credit card, but again, it is a secured card, so that's pretty standard to have a higher interest rate. We like the Capital One card because the minimum required deposit is only $49. and your client can fund the card up to $1,000. So once we put money on, if the client would like to increase their limit and put more money on, that's completely up to them based on what they've been approved for. Making the security deposit of $49 will get your clients a $200 limit. Customers receive the unsecured increase after they make the first 5 payments online. This is really important. This is another reason we like Capital One and some of the bigger banks for the secured card, is that they will graduate your clients. Once they have proven good on-time payment history, your clients will be rewarded for that. And that's a very important thing because we want them to build up credit building. Again, clients have the option to deposit up to $1,000, and Capital One does report to all of the major credit bureaus each month. Here are the minimum criteria for eligibility for clients. I'll let you review that later. I won't, go into each one of them, but when you are applying, you would want to consider these for your client. Again, the Capital One card isn't the only one out there. It's one that we recommend quite often. We also recommend the Discover card fairly often because it does have a rewards component. But when I'm meeting with clients as well, I always encourage them to go to their own banks and ask, especially if they're trying to establish a relationship for a mortgage or something like that. I always tell them to look into their options and then let me know what they think is best. Once approved, this is what your client's confirmation will look like. So just be on the lookout for that. Again, you can print this page and send it to me, or you can just send me the customer number, whatever works. So again, this is the standard process for how accounts are transferred. I receive the request from you, and I process those on Thursdays. Almost every Thursday, like clockwork, I process these. Our accounting department only cuts checks on Fridays, so that's when I receive the checks. And depending on what time of day they get out to me, sometimes I can get them in the mail on Friday, but I never promise that because sometimes, it's a busy day, I miss the postman, but they're always in the mail by Monday. And they're always sent USPS certified mail, and I can send you tracking information if you would like it. I don't always remember to send tracking information for every single client that I'm closing out, but consider there's sometimes I'm closing out 20 accounts at a time with 20 different coaches. So if I don't send you tracking information and you want it, call me, email me, I'll send it to you right away. So this is actually where we finish with the pieces as far as the application process and the actual account process. And this is pretty much for new coaches from this point going forward. The JP Training Center, for any coaches that have not finished modules 1 and 2, this would be your next step to create an account, log in, and get verified for us. If you complete the Training Center's modules 1 and 2, then you're qualified to be a coach. Again, you can go to jptrainingcenter.org at any time to sign up for it. It's going to look a little bit like this. It'll have different credit building scenarios and teach you a lot about our credit building as an asset approach. It will help you learn a lot about assessing client readiness, whether the product is a fit, etc. for your client. You'll get a chance to explore a lot of these different case studies, which are very, very helpful in learning about reading credit reports and really digging deep into them. These are the topics covered in each one of the levels. Again, levels 1 and 2 are required. Levels 3 and 4 are optional. We do encourage you to use them. They're rich in information, and I think they're very helpful for coaches. Full disclosure, anybody that walks into our office, it doesn't matter whether your job is receptionist, new loan counselor, new credit building counselor, everyone, intern, everybody does levels 1 and 2 in our JP Training Center in our office. And we find that very, very helpful to know that everybody has a standard basis of knowledge. When you do complete your level and you pass the test with at least an 88%, you will get a certificate and you will be marked as completed for that level in our system. kind of recapping, these are some helpful practices for success that my intern put together this month as she's learning the process along with some of the new coaches, so she can also get insight. And these are the things that she picked out as being the most important. She's really emphasized staying on top of payment schedules and knowing whether your clients have chosen the 1st or the 15th as that reoccurring ACH date. Again, in order when we're closing it out, in order to ensure that the checks, the transfer checks reach your client, we send them to your office. This is a question I get all the time from clients. Why do you send my check to my coach? 100% of the time I recommend sending it to you over sending it to the client, because we send it certified mail. And if someone is not available at the client's home to sign for that letter, it becomes an entire nightmare in dealing with the United States Postal Service. And it's not fun. Sometimes those checks can be lost for a week or more because they're not claimed, they're getting sent back here, they're delayed. But sending it to the coach's office, we know that someone is there to sign for it. We know the client is familiar with your office and come to pick it up. It's a much more streamlined process. And I always try to explain this to clients because so often they're like, it's my money, I want it sent to my house. And again, that would be ideal. I just don't recommend it because it can become very dicey pretty quick. And remembering that the online application are for clients only, that coaches cannot submit an application on behalf of a client. Again, super, super important. So that's all we have for the training. I think we got through pretty quickly. There's still quite a few of you on, and it looks like a lot of you are new. If you have any specific questions, this would be a really good time. I'm happy to answer those specific questions that you might have. Feel free to use the chat function because I do still have everybody muted. Again, this will be, I can distribute this PowerPoint for you, but I will also post it to our Credit Building Nation website. I'm constantly trying to send people to our resource section of our Credit Building Nation website because we are really trying to fill it with good things for you as coaches. Are there no other questions? Awesome. If there are no other questions, this is my contact information directly. Obviously, we do ask that you utilize the twin accounts at justinpeterson.org email address as the main point of contact. But if you do have questions, then you can call me directly as well. I really appreciate everybody coming. I definitely see that some older coaches are on the call as well. I hope you guys found this to be helpful, a helpful refresher. As I said, I would really, really appreciate feedback on the process, how we're explaining it to you, what holes you might see, because again, I'm really working hard behind the scenes to make sure that we are giving you everything that you need to be successful and make your clients successful. So if you have any feedback beyond the chat function, feel free to call or email me anytime, and I'd be really excited to hear from you. Well, awesome. Thank you guys again. It looks like we finished pretty quickly. You guys have a great day, and I'm looking forward to hearing more from you and getting your applications and seeing your clients succeed. And we'll be holding the next quarterly webinar in the first quarter of 2020, so be on the lookout for that. If you have any new coaches join your agencies in the meantime, let me know and we'll get them up to speed with this information as well. Thanks, you guys. Have a great, great day, and we'll talk to you soon.